This is why we do all the hauling, digging, and planting, because the garden looks like this.
Welcome to the July Garden Tour. Welcome to our garden here in Upstate New York Zone 6A at the end of July, which I cannot believe it's already the end of July, and it's been a hot summer. So the garden is feeling the heat, but a lot of the garden's still looking very fresh, and we're very excited to show you around, show you the things that are really holding up and looking fantastic for us. We're over on the west side at the entrance to the long west border, and here on the east of the west border is this area that we planted up with quite a few perennials and shrubs and even the swath of annuals. But it's the first time we're getting to see some of these perennials bloom, and the kind of showstopper of this area right now is bobblehead allium. It's a little bit taller than serendipity, which we have in the garden, a little bit looser of a habit. Even the blooms themselves are slightly looser. We got up nice and early for you, so their bees aren't even out yet, but normally these actually almost sway because the bees are all over them. A little bit cooler blue foliage, a little twisty bit of foliage. And down here, they've gone over the first set of blooms, but this is the firefly fuchsia yarrow. And the reason we have yarrow is we remembered to cage them. We use this black chicken wire and just make a little loop around, and that means the bunnies don't decimate them, which has happened in the past, which is also the reason, and we've been asked this question a lot, why don't you have any coneflowers? We are echinacea-less. So we're thinking that maybe next season we'll have some echinacea in the garden and use these chicken wire cages, which means we will get to have some of that beautiful flower. So let's move over here onto the west side. The hydrangea we recently talked about in a video that I think is going to end up my favorite hydrangea of all time is Pinky Winky Prime. Look at the size of this bloom, and the plant is not even 3 feet tall.
It's really an enormous flower. And this and everything in this border was planted just in May and June of this year. So that's a very young, probably not even established yet specimen.
Down here is another hydrangea called Let's Dance Rhythmic Blue, also planted at the same time, but much smaller specimens. And they have put on a tremendous amount of new growth. They've already got some new flowers coming because these are a reblooming variety, and they're giving us this kind of bluey purple. But down here, Eric, can you just zoom on this one blue bloom? This is the goal. This is the goal color in a hydrangea bloom. So I'll take it. I will take that all day long. The Supertunia Mini Vista Pink Cloud. It's a cloud of pink.
Those are way bigger than I anticipated them getting.
It's like a carpet, which is pretty cool. Behind that, we had planted some Elizabeth David Austin roses. There's one trying to bloom over here. It's the first season for a rose. They take a little time to get going. And the Verbena bonariensis has joined us. We did not plant a single seed. These reseeded themselves throughout the garden. And I went around and I scooped up the seedlings with a little handful. Didn't dig, nothing, just scoop underneath. And I placed a few of those little scoops throughout this area. And this is what we get. Flowers for the entire rest of the season. And they will drop. And we will have flowers around here, Verbena bonariensis, for all time. They're a wonderful reseeder. And then, I have to get in and deadhead, Eric. This is the number 6 Dahlia. I had saved some tubers from the floret flower seeds that I started last year, and 3 number 6s came back through the winter, and they are gorgeous. This kind of buttery yellow. There's a lot of pink. Look at this, like the golden morning sun on that.
I know, the sun just reached above the clouds.
Isn't that pretty? Coming over here, we have 2 annuals that are new for next year. They're a lobelia, which is a plant we haven't spent a lot of time growing. We had 4 colors come: a lavender, a lilac, a pink, azure, and this is called blue pearl because it has a little white eye in it. The azure is a winner. What do you think about that?
That is probably one of my favorite new annuals we've ever grown. It's got a nice habit to it. It's got beautiful color. It's been nonstop blooms, and it has held up tremendously well in the summer heat.
Summer heat, and sometimes it's been rained on, and it just stayed looking great. Where the blue pearl kind of splayed a little bit, this one never did that. And then the ones in containers, the pink and the lilac, they're okay. They're holding their own, but this one, that's really the big winner. This group right here is Flavorette Paired Rose. Some of these have gone over, but it's a really nice kind of like baby shell pink.
This is my favorite new rose.
It's lovely. It smells amazing. It does have flavor. It tastes a little bit of pear, which is kind of cool. Young plants, they've splayed a little bit, but I anticipate stronger stems as they get established. And then let's see here. We've got a whole bunch of fun flower things happening.
Oh, and the pollinators have awoken.
They have, oh my gosh. So on the pink Picotigora, what I love, especially up on the containers on the terrace, the stems are just flexible enough that when the bees land in the flower, it kind of makes the flowers dance.
Yeah, they're out for breakfast.
I really love that. Behind the pink Picotigora is Powerball, which is a new hydrangea that is panicle, but has a slightly rounder panicle. So you have almost the mop head appearance on a panicle hydrangea. So that's good for people who need that hardiness and the ability to put it in full sun. Behind that is our native ironweed. Our friend Greg had given us a, well, I guess it wasn't really a seedling.
It had reseeded itself in his garden, and he dug it up.
But it was like he gave us.
He grew it on for us.
He grew it on, yes.
Yeah.
And it gets really tall with really beautiful dark purple flowers. And it looks like the flowers are coming pretty soon.
It is a late season bloomer.
So that's going to be great to give us that nice vertical interest over these hydrangeas.
Oh, we should talk about the firefly and what we've learned.
Oh, yeah. So firefly, we actually have not really mentioned this too much lately, just because our poor firefly, which is an oriental spruce, got sunburn. It's getting established. It's not dead. It's doing okay. It just got a little sunburn.
I think, and I contacted Isley because it's an Isley introduction, and they said it will be fine. It will recover.
Yeah, it's the first season. It's a yellow leaf or yellow needle, so that's probably the reason why it needed it needs some SPF. And then, all right. Well, while I'm up here, early in the season, you may remember I had to convince Eric. I really negotiated hard for the Supertunia Mini Vista Indigo River idea that I had. And Eric, here we are. It's full, it's filled in. This is Max. What do you think?
I do really like it. I love Supertunia Mini Vista Indigo. It's my favorite one. And I think that this is a nice, eye-catching way to use it.
I love getting up in the pond. I know it sounds kind of funny, but I like standing on the rocks and being kind of in it. And things look so good. We're learning about where the water kind of leaches up out into the soil. So we have these lavender lace kufia that we planted recently, and they're growing so well. Look at this, Eric.
These replaced those grasses that were failing for us.
Oh yeah, those fiber optics grass, they were a bummer. This is ice dragon, Japanese maple that is putting out beautiful new growth. This is from Isley. And in time, because it's a weeper, we have this opportunity to kind of, I don't want to say bonsai it, but we can sort of shape the branches to have kind of a drapey effect here, which would be so nice. It would keep down algae and just give the pond more of a wrapped around kind of look. And then of course it gives us opportunity to plant more shady things underneath. Over here, the partner in crime, also from Isley, is Arctic Jade Japanese Maple. This one I love. I love that kind of chartreuse side of green leaf. It will get quite large over time, but again, we get to have so much fun with the shaping and the limbing up. I think the star of the Pondless Waterfall this year is Shadowstorm Sweet Potato Vine.
This is new for 2026, and it's beautiful. It's got such a great color, nice bold foliage, really sweet. I'm really impressed with this grouping of 3 Little Lime Punch hydrangeas. This is an improved version of Proven Winner's Little Lime hydrangea because it's got stronger stems, it's got denser flowers, blooms a little bit earlier, and the flowers get a more intense red. These were planted in 2022, as was basically everything in the garden behind me. So they've pretty much got their roots in the ground and they're raring to go. A drift of Veronica right here. I can never remember the name. Is it Purple Potion?
This is Purple Illusion.
Purple Illusion. We'll cut that back very soon. Interesting hydrangea Glacier Bay, which is like a Cape Seaside Serenade Glacier Bay. Not a very strong performer at all, but the smattering of blooms that we have on it I think are pretty because they're pure white and there's a black stem. Not sure if we'll keep it in the garden because it is pretty high maintenance, but I kind of like what it's doing right here. Check out these two tall structures. The one up front is a Diana contorted larch. Really skinny, really twisted, really interesting, and it has cones. It will drop all these needles come fall, so it's a deciduous conifer, which is really interesting. Columnar purple, oh, it's not columnar, I always want to say that. It's purple pillar Rose of Sharon. Late to flower. This is our latest flowering Rose of Sharon, but it has a nice, tidy, upright, narrow habit. So it's just good to pop into a border if you're interested in having a skinny Rose of Sharon. Mugo pine underneath. This is a slow mound, so it grows extremely slowly. Illuminati mock orange. This is what it looks like out of flower. In the spring, it puts on a tremendous show of fragrance and white flower, but then the rest of the season, this is it right here. Our bench to sit and enjoy the view of the Pondless waterfall. We have to keep fighting back on this sugar shack buttonbush. It is so happy here. It's a native species, the sugar shack buttonbush, that it's just really getting a little bit bigger than we anticipated it getting. So we've got some decisions to make. Maybe we'll coppice it in the spring. Maybe we'll move it. Maybe we'll just like keep pruning it back and tending to it all season. But that's part of gardening, the fun in making those decisions. Christopher, down here is a Statia Vi. It's a David Austin rose. This one has been battling thrips all season, and we're doing our best to work out how to handle them. If you have tips on how to handle thrips in your garden, leave them in the comments below. We've debudded it, we've sprayed it, we've got a cage from rabbits. We are really trying to make sure this rose is successful. Still a little bit of struggle on it, so we'll see how it does, but let us know what your thoughts are in the comments on that. In the ground, Aromance Pink Nemesia. This is an annual. I find it extremely impressive in the ground. It's, again, a little floppy from the sprinklers running this morning, but it is highly fragrant, nonstop flowers, doing well in the summer heat, and I purposely planted it here. I mean, Christopher and I purposely planted it here to be near the bench so that as we're sitting here enjoying the pond and a little breeze comes along, we get some nice fragrance.
It actually does waft quite a lot of fragrance. I like it.
Christopher, I am so proud of you because tell everybody about these.
Okay, this is a China aster called Hot Pants. I found it on a website called Uprising Seeds. It is twisty, it is pom-pommy, it is a really beautiful color. They age to kind of a funny Muppet puff, but they are such a beautiful flower. I've only had to deadhead a handful of them, and as I do, they are pumping out more color.
I think it's really pretty this time of year to have this pop of pink here. And they are, of course, planted underneath our Prairie Fire crabapple, which is not in its moment of glory right now. That happens in the spring. But the rest of the season, it gets covered in these persistent berries and a hedge of sprinter boxwoods to help soften the corner. Bouncing back over this way, Christopher, I'll kind of pick up where you left off. There is a grouping of 5 Let's Dance Ariba hydrangeas. We planted them this spring. They were flowering when we planted them. As the season progressed, those flowers would droop, the flowers would brown, because that's what hydrangeas are gonna do your first season if they're a big leaf or a mountain variety. So to alleviate the stress from the plant the first season, we just went through and deadheaded them, make sure we gave them extra water fertilizer, and they look full and gorgeous. Compact Purple Sun Patience. I love them. We all know Christopher's not a big fan, but I think that they're looking good, right?
I gotta say, I figured out what I didn't like.
What?
I did not like them up against the more pastel tone of the Ariba hydrangea.
Oh, well, luckily they're an annual, and next year we can make a different choice.
Yeah, we can make a different choice.
Really cool introduction that's coming out next year is Kodiak Durvilla Jet Black, which is a darker, more intense version of Kodiak Black Durvilla. And that has really dark foliage. It'll bloom like a neon yellow, like a highlighter. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna feel like that when that actually happens, but I think it's gonna be worth growing for that foliage. And one more Isley introduction right here, Christopher. This is a Ripple Brook Norway spruce that is supposed to create this cascading, ripply look. We planted it here so that it went over the rocks at the bottom of the Pondless waterfall. fully aware that's going to take a number of years for it to accomplish that. But in the meantime, we'll just keep planting a sweet potato vine there to take up its place.
Absolutely. While I'm just in this position, I do want to take a second and just appreciate the layering that Decker's Pondscapes did when they built this pondless waterfall. And we did have quite a bit of rain recently, so there's almost like an actual pond at the bottom.
I know.
But what an incredible work of art they put that together for us in one day. My gosh.
I know, truly incredible. And we do have a video about that if you're interested. Just scroll back to May, I think. Pugster Blue Butterfly Bush. Check out that color. Now, I think that the faded blooms are fine. Like they don't distract too much for me. I think they're okay, but you could go through and you could deadhead if you wanted. But this color is amazing and the pollinators love it. Behind that, I think we probably put too many in here, and that's okay.
Us put too many?
We forget how big these get, but these are rock and play in the blues, and you'll see them all throughout the garden. It's our favorite annual salvia from Proven Winners. Nordman's Fir in front of that, and this is going to stay very narrow. This is probably the width it's going to get, and then it's supposed to get about 12 feet tall. So I just thought it'd be like a nice sentinel here in the center. Behind that, look at Christopher's castor beans he grew from seed. Now we have two varieties in the garden. These have done very well. This one is called which, Christopher?
This is Impala.
Impala, but then we have a purple one that is on the east side that is like absolutely mind-boggling gorgeous. So I can't wait to show you that. In front of me right here at my feet is Bubbly Wine Weigela. This is a new Weigela from Proven Winners with a variegated foliage. It will flower pink in the spring. We didn't get to see a flower this year because it was brand new to us, but it has put on a ton of growth. Our transplanted At Last roses are all getting established, putting on new growth and flowering. Look at that purple fountain grass back there. That, I think, was a much needed texture and color for this space as we're waiting for these new shrubs to get established and new trees. Prairie Princess Vernonia, which is a native cultivar of the previously mentioned ironweed. So this is Proven Winners' version of it. They've made it more compact. They've made the foliage a little bit thinner. They've made the foliage a little bit more olivey, a little darker, and it's really pretty. It's eye-catching and unique. So you can get that ironweed look with these bright purple flowers that'll come out without having to worry about the tremendous height that native ironweed will have. Red Medicine Crema roses looking fresh. They bloom enormous size flowers for such a small shrub. In this urn right here, our Litchfield urn, in the center we have a tater tot arborvitae. And this is funny because I brought this tater tot arborvitae home with me on a plane. It was a little quart size. I'd got it at a Proven Winners event in like 2022. Popped it in my carry-on, put it outside in here, and it has been growing since. And it's surrounded by, is this strawberry superbells?
Strawberry punch.
Strawberry punch superbells. And I'm actually really impressed with how they're doing because superbells this summer have been loving the heat.
It's a really good year for superbell. It is superbell summer.
It sure is. Of course, Morgara all around, Montana moss, blue junipers, and this tree right here is a grouping, one of our first birch trees we ever planted, of river birch. And I think that it brings beautiful structure, beautiful texture to this area, and of course it helps to soak up the excess water.
Behind me and all the way behind me are the two trees that we have in the center of the backyard. We have them in square beds, and they are flanked by really fun Sweet Romance lavender hedges that I think are doing so well. And Eric, I don't know if you noticed, but I did some seeding in here. I took the Apricot Beauty foxgloves once they had dried, and I sprinkled seeds. I sprinkled probably 10 million seeds, and that's not an exaggeration. I just kept going, and there are lovely little green happenings happening. This is a paperbark maple. I was not getting those words out. This has done so well. The peeling bark has already started. This is a really nice specimen. It's actually grown faster than I expected.
It has grown faster than we anticipated.
I'm wondering if this is going to be the year where we do have to do a little bit of lifting.
We will have to limb up because you want to limb your trees up when they are young.
And then on the far side is a Princeton Century ginkgo that'll give really gorgeous bright yellow fall color. But I wanted to talk about the Burm a little bit because we don't often give the Burm as much love as it could. I would say the Burm for us is really a spring and it's a fall. When you look at the 8 green giant arborvitaes, they give us this really nice backdrop up against the forever wild part of the woods. And then we have some perennials here. This is Stormcloud Amsonia that has that nice olivey leaf all summer long. And look at our little lime hydrangeas. They're coming right along. Behind that is a
Not lemony lace, it's the other one.
black lace,
Black
elderberry.
lace.
And the last couple of years, this didn't do anything for us. We thought it was on the chopping block, but it turns out it was getting eaten by a groundhog. And this year the groundhog moved on. So it's growing and it looks really nice. Up here, we have blue chiffon Rose of Sharon. This has been in the ground quite a long time and it's really gotten tall.
It's a cool shrub.
It's a really pretty color. Adagio miscanthus, one of my favorite grasses of all time. I love the plumes. They're very champagne color. This is the opening day viburnum that I believe was supposed to be 5x5.
4x4.
4x4. Not very happy here. Very happy. And above that is the red obelisk beech. Gorgeous tree. Absolutely love the way that it grounds this whole area and gives us that red texture. Below this is a double play big bang spirea, little hedge here. And then we have the morning light miscanthus morning light miscanthus should be everywhere. It's such a nice bright explosion of skinny leaves here. Some serendipity allium is coming into bloom. A Blackhawk's blue stem grass that's native, really dark red. I love that one. Orchid satin, Rose of Sharon, doing nicely. We did have a really, really hot, dry spell recently. So this got a little bit unhappy, but it seems to be rebounding after that really fast 1 inch of rain we had the other day.
The Burm is the only garden bed we have that isn't on drip.
Yeah, and what's good is next year, if we chose to put it on drip, we now have that newly installed hose bib underground here, and that's why we have our hose link that has actually changed everything about planting back here. This is going to be the most used hose we have in the garden.
Is it very wet right there?
It's
a little squishy.
This is the wet area of the garden. The berm is designed to bring the rainwater down and shoot it down to a retention pond about 5 houses down the way. So right now I'm just a squishing. That's why I didn't wear the good shoes. Our hedge of midi mauvet hydrangeas is an interesting hedge. We have 3 very happy, 2 unhappy. So choices are going to be made as well.
Yeah, do we replace those 2 or do we relocate those 3 and do something brand new here? You know, gardening.
And then, exactly. And we're moving into August next week. And that's, I guess, when Summerific Week happens, which is the celebration of the Summerific Hibiscus series. This is very awesome. It's the biggest, it's the earliest to flower. Next to it is a giant weed.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's a big weed.
Yeah, get that one.
It's the pokey kind.
Is it?
It's, wait,
Be
maybe.
brave. There you go.
What? Oh, and
a Schubertii
and a Schubertii allium. Okay. This one is Candy Crush. This is a really good hibiscus. It blooms a little later and it stays a little bit tighter as a plant. This is my favorite perennial, I believe, of the whole garden. Backlight luminary phlox, healthy leaves, clear, crisp white blooms, and it blooms for about 6 to 8 weeks almost without rest. Below that is an icebreaker, Korean fir, and cherry truffles heuchera, which is just a really nice little combination of plants. Back in this cacophony of perennial and shrub, you can see a pinky winky hydrangea. Behind that is a winter red winterberry, completely berried up right now, so that's going to be beautiful. There's a dwarf king birch in there. The kind of coppery tufts at the top are called venusta, or queen of the prairie. The bee balm, that hot pink, is a man's name that escapes me at the moment. Goodness, let's see. Oh, do you see that yellow, Eric? Can you see that? That is actually a native echinacea. It has that kind of downturned yellow. I didn't know it was going to bloom. Very happy. The pale lavender color bee balm is the native bee balm. And then, I mean, you probably can't see it because of this tiny purple plant that you've got.
Yes. Oh, the milkweed back there?
Oh no, this tiny purple
Oh,
plant.
yeah.
This is the other kind of castor bean that I grew. Only one plant came through. I had ordered the seeds on Etsy. You never know what you're gonna get when you're not ordering from a big seed company. So I'm going to scour the internet to try and find purple castor bean seeds.
I wonder how we save these seeds, though.
That's a good question. Every part of the plant is poisonous, yes, we know. And whenever I plant them or do any management of them, I wear gloves. So I think I'm gonna maybe get some gloves once we see what happens with those seed pods. And if I can save it, how good would that be? The serendipity allium, it's coming.
Yeah, you can see it is a little bit behind the bobblehead we mentioned earlier.
And as this colors up, this will just vibrate with the amount of bees that'll be on it. I'm so excited about that. The pink profusion salvia is coming into its second flush after we cut it all the way to the ground. I have to double check the dates on that, then I can report back on how fast the turnaround was from cutback. Northwind panicum.
My favorite grass in the garden.
This is a really good grass, and I'm very proud of us because this was a doozy dividing this, but it worked. And then we have Firelight Tidbit that's going to be coming into flower. These were much newer planted than ones you'll see later.
Yeah, those are so far behind our other Firelight Tidbits. I wonder why.
These don't get sun until probably 4 or 5 hours later.
Oh.
Because they're tucked in underneath here.
True.
But look at how tall the Autumn Joy sedum is. It said, hey, you're not going to squish me out. I love that. I love that great.
Look too.
Over here in front, this is the Lark Ascending. This is a David Austin rose that is known to get very big. So it's doing that. It's going to be a very big rose. I'm excited to see that. Behind that is Quickfire. We have 4 of these Quickfire hydrangeas planted on this hedge in succession with Pinky Winky hydrangeas that are really taking off this year. They took a minute to get established. There is some castor beans, the Impala variety, dotted throughout, and a weed that's really, really showcasing itself back there.
Oh my gosh, that is a weed, isn't it?
That is a weed. Yep, that's a good weed.
All right, we got to get in there.
Like, you almost want to leave it. Like, good for you if you're going to come through that way.
Because it'll reseed.
The Nosferatu daylilies are daylilying. That's great. This is a saguaro cypress called Blue Moon.
Don't ask me.
Uh-oh. Well, it's a really pretty saguaro cypress. I love that. Thalictrum here.
What on earth?
This is ready to be cut back to the ground.
Yes, now we know.
Now we know this is a cut to the ground, not just deadhead. Down here is Cool Jazz Supertunia Vista coming out next year. Very pale lavender, on the cool side of lavender, so that could be nice in a mixed arrangement. It's doing what vistas do, happily. This is Rockin' Ground Pride and Joy Sedum, which has, I think it might be getting a bit too much water from some overspray because it's doing a little split, which would be the reason for that. Or you could Chelsea chop it earlier in the spring, which makes it shorter and keep its branching. Look at the urn.
I love this urn. There's only one thing about it that bothers me. Is that the Gara on the side towards you is doing better than the Gara on the opposite side. So it looks a little off balance, but other than that, I think it's gorgeous. And I want that Superbina pink cashmere to bloom more consistently because right now it's out of bloom.
Right, it does cycle in and out of bloom. When it's in bloom, this is like a giant cupcake. That's actually what I feel like it looks like this year, is a cupcake. But there's some Scaevola, there's some of that Lobelia in here. There is some Angel Blue Angelonia, more of the Pink Cloud, Mini Vista, and the Meteor Shower Verbena and the Gora, they're fighting their way through. But Pink Cashmere Superbina is really just taken over.
Yeah, there's only 2 of them in that container.
There's only 2 of them. So that's pretty cool.
Beneath our Jensen urn is heliotrope, and it doesn't look like traditional heliotrope, but this is an annual from Proven Winners called Augusta Lavender. So also don't let that name confuse you. It is referred to as lavender because of the color. I think it's really sweet. It does especially well for us in ground. So we do have it repeated throughout the garden in ground. Again, I think we overplanted our rock and play in the blue salvia, but
lessons learned.
Okay. In front of me are little baby specimens of a brand new hydrangea called Incredible storm-proof. These came to us basically as courts in the spring, and they're supposed to eventually get 3 to 4 feet tall and wide. So they're gonna really fill this spot in to give us different layers in this bed, but they've been an improvement in Incredible to have stronger stems, not flop as much in the rain. So we'll keep you posted on how those do for us. This glowing yellow ball right here is Anna's Magic Ball. It's an evergreen for us. I guess I could call it an ever yellow.
Ever yellow.
It stays like this all season long. Artist Blue Floss Flower Ageratum Hedge. We repeat these throughout the garden as well. It's an ageratum hybrid from Proven Winners. It is an annual for us, but I love the size that it gets. The color and texture, so neat and tidy, continuously blooming all season. I'm sure you all remember this drift of oh so easy peasy roses from earlier in the season, and they are loaded with flowers, nonstop, pink, all early summer long. Right now they're kind of like raring up for their next flush.
Oh, they're gearing up.
Behind that is Newly Noir Coleus, and the centerpiece of this bed is a Tromnar Blue Spruce, which is a really interesting hybrid of a Serbian spruce and a blue spruce, right, Christopher?
Yep, so you get kind of the irregular branching of the Serbian with the bright blue of the blue.
More Autumn Joy Sedum, that repetition of those quick fires and the Pinky Winky and the quick fire. The arborvitaes here are those traditional emerald green arborvitaes. Down here, I'm getting really excited about this. You have to wait a long time for these to start flowering, but they're well worth the wait. It's Fall in Love Sweetly Anemone. They really pick up at the end of the summer when everything else is like, oh, I'm done. These are like, I'm here and I'm having a great time, and they are worth the wait. Wine and Roses Weigela. Gold Cone Juniper has done very well in that spot. In front of the Gold Cone Juniper is James L. Austin Rose.
Looking very good.
Yes, we limbed up our Eastern Redbud a little bit a couple of weeks ago to allow more light in, because you know, as your trees are young, that's when you want to do the cutting, and I think it's helped. Serendipity Allium. This Lamb's Ear, I think we're pulling out and replacing with Silver Lining Artemisia, right?
I believe so.
At some point. This is our Bumble Sky Meadow Sage that had been cut back. New this spring, Metamorphosa Japanese Maple. It's a small Japanese maple from Proven Winners. I'm really surprised at how well it's established itself.
It is established and it's growing. It's got all that variegation in there. I'm also very excited to see its fall color, because as it's called Metamorphosa, the color change is what we're looking for.
And again, this is an Eastern Redbud, a native tree for us, and underneath that is a drift of Dark Side of the Moon Astilbe. We wanted a little pop of dark. I know that pop of dark sounds contradictory, but that's kind of what we wanted there with our Tough Stuff hydrangeas. These died to the ground. They've reflushed, but there's no flowers on them. So we got to think about what we're going to do with those. Banana Cream Daisies, they're kind of at the tail end of their flowering. And back there, that bright pop of chartreuse is Sun King Aurelia. And that was one of the divisions we took last fall. If you remember, our big Sun King is over in our shade garden on the north side. We cut that into 4 chunks. That's one of the chunks. So it did very well. But I'll bop over to this side with our Pagoda Dogwood. I'm shocked at how much this has grown this year. We're gonna have to keep our eye on this.
I mean, it's gonna get real big, to be honest. I know this tree gets about 25 feet tall.
Wow. Okay. So, well, we'll see what happens. We're going to roll with it because we're gardeners. Down here, this is one of our newly created shade areas in the last couple of years. And it's newer because we've been waiting for this juniper to grow, and waiting for the Gatsby Pink to grow, and waiting for the dogwood to grow. So now we've got some shade to play with. We've got a mixture of different hostas, coral bells, heucherellas. And down there is a pulmonaria. That's a fun little combo. But these giant, enormous hostas are Empress Wu.
They're so big.
So big. And then this is another chunk of that Sun King Aurelia. It definitely gets more sun than the other one. You can see it has burned.
Yeah, there's some burn
in some
on
of the drought. So we can easily prune that off. It's a perennial, so it'll get cut to the ground anyway. We did move our Litchfield Ern up, and inside of that is more of that sedum we mentioned earlier. But I do love this obelisk around it. I think it adds a little bit of structure. Our Boom Chocolate geraniums are coming back from the ground nice and fresh after their first flush. But this is one of my favorite moments that I cannot wait to share with you. check out this Invincible Sublime Hydrangea hedge. This is a smooth leaf arborescence that blooms on new wood, but it blooms green hydrangea flowers that stay green. In fact, they get greener as they age. I can't believe how happy and healthy and successful this hydrangea has been for us. It's one of my favorite varieties. Behind that is a Weeping Ruby Falls red bud. I love the color and texture on that. It's a little monstrous this year. I think in the spring I want to go through and like make it a little more architectural by pruning. What do you think
Just kind
of
of
that?
thin out some of the
Yeah,
branches.
because right now it's just like a sheer curtain.
Yeah, some of the weepers, like especially like an eastern white pine, when those are weeping, they just look like snuffleupagus, and we want it to be a little bit more like, look at our cool tree.
Yes, and so I'm gonna skip this area for now. We'll do that when we do the patio terrace area, and I'm gonna go right here. Midnight Wine Shine Gila, obviously named for the shiny foliage that it has. Lemon Coral Sedum, which is borderline hardy for us. I think we've had like one chunk successfully over winter at one point, but otherwise it's an annual. Sprinter Boxwood, more Verbena bonariensis, Tottering by Gently Rose, and I'm sure none of you are even looking at the rose right now, but I'm going to make you look at it because it's one of my favorites.
It is so pretty.
It's a 5-petal rose from David Austin Roses. Look at that bumble, enjoying that
So
so
happy.
much.
This is a really cool self-seed and shrub and annual combination. But let me back up so everyone can see the thing.
Let's Dance Skyview Hydrangea, which if you've coveted big leaf hydrangeas and big blue flowers like we have for years, this is the first foolproof, low maintenance, continuous blooming big leaf hydrangea. Every time I see it, I'm like, wow, that's gorgeous. And it's still got more flowers coming. It's got its first big flowers that it put out. Then it's got a second flush, and then it's got a third flush of more blooms coming. It just keeps blooming all season long. And yes, we have it in full sun. It is on drip. It's a true success story for big leaf hydrangeas in a cooler planting zone. Sensation Honeysuckle, new blooms right here. They'll turn to red berries. The birds will eat them up. My favorite David Austin rose back here is Boscabelle. Oh, I can't reach that one, but that one is looking particularly lovely. In front of that is African Daisy, another variety called Bright Lights White. These are the apricot foxgloves that Christopher spread the seeds from, so I cut back those seed heads after he spread the seeds. Of course, we spread them here too. Look, our green gable is getting enormous. It's a black gum tree.
This is one of those semi-slow, well, supposed to be slow-growing trees, except it grew about 2 feet this year.
And it's known for its tremendous fall color. So that'll get bright red, and then the Prince and Century gets bright yellow, and then something, I don't know, we staggered it. I can't remember the third thing.
The birch tree over here also is going to be a yellow, but slightly different than the ginkgo yellow. Oh, and then we have the red also of the Obelisk Beach.
Steady Eddie Viburnum, which has been blooming all season long, not as prolifically as it did last year, but I do wonder if that has to do with heat, because it has been extremely hot this summer. You can see our hedge of Artist Blue Floss Flower repeated here, which really gives the eye a visual rest to kind of tuck in what's happening behind it, which is Lowscape Aronia, Midnight Sun Weigela. Look at that cool color happening on that right now. It's always changing.
The sun portion of the Midnight Sun is starting.
Reminiscent Pink Roses are all budded up, ready for their next flush. But in the center of this bed is Quickfire Fab Hydrangea, an improved version of Quickfire. Again, we did just have a summer storm the day before yesterday. So the flowers are causing the branches to flop a tiny bit. But again, as this gets more established and more mature, those branches will get stronger and be able to hold up the weight of those gorgeous flowers. Walker's Low Catmint. On that obelisk right there is Stillwater's Clematis. On this side, you can see the flowers, Christopher. If you want to come around here, there is a fresh round of flowers over here, along with our Ancient Mariner Rose. Oh, so gorgeous.
I just got a good whiff of this.
Yeah.
That rose is one of the most fragranced ever. And then there is that Stillwater's Clematis.
It's a really interesting color.
Our Catarina fountain's been here for a couple years now, and I really love it. Eric had me turn the pump down so it's not as raging and it doesn't splash as much water out. Funny when you turn the water down, right? I love that, and it's in the sea of catmint that's done so well. And of course, the big triumph of this section of the garden is the Lady of Shalott roses. There's 5 of them here, and they're a little bit tied back so that they stay closer to the edge of the terrace. But on a warm evening, when there's a little breeze, all you can smell is Lady of Shalott, which is really cool. Although, as cool as that is, the Lady of Shalott, in terms of fragrance power, is being a little bit overdone by the El Nino Catalpa. This is a shrub that we have planted in our large container as the centerpiece. It has finally started blooming. It took a long time to get there for us. I'm assuming that that's just climate. Below that, we have Plum Danny Alternanthera that has done exactly what I hoped it would. More of the Aromance Pink Nemesia, which I think is doing better in the ground.
I do think it is doing better in the ground for us.
Over here, we have Double Twilight Superbells, Superbell Summer here at our garden. And down here is the Blush Rose, it's
Double Delight.
Double Delight Blush Rose Begonia. This, in the heat of the sun, turns a bit more orangey and a little bit less rosy, which is not what we were hoping for. So in the shade area, love it, not so much over here. The Gara is doing exactly what we had hoped to, just spilling out, giving great texture. The big container, this has 4 of the pink cashmere superbenas in it, so this has become one big cupcake. But as you can see, we're kind of in between bloom on the pink cashmere. So that's one downside of it, but it has been remarkable. More of the Alternanthera, the Meteor Shower Verbena, and in the center is a Jolly Good Clematis and a Rise Up Lilac Days Rose, which I'm excited to see how the rose over the next bloom cycle gets a little bit taller. We'll see. Overall, I think this has been a success of a container, except for the fact that there is more of that blush rose in there.
And you can't see it.
You can't even see it. This container, lots of great learning is happening in the containers this year. We put them on drip, so we're getting better results, but we have blush rose looking beautiful. And this is more of a part sun area. So right now it is 8 o'clock in the morning, so there's some sun there. It'll get a little afternoon sun as well. This is Space Age Black Hole Begonia. I think it's interesting. This is supposed to get a bit bigger. It hasn't gotten bigger, but the leaves are so cool, we like it. This is the Lavender Lobelia. Again, we like the azure, but the cool plant in here, let me lift this up for you, Eric, if you can get close. This is Superbell's Magic Double Grapefruit. The magic part is that it comes out yellow, and then as the sun hits it, it turns the petals pink. So you get this multicolored effect. I think this is quite a winner. The other big container is part of the spa collection. It's very serene, it's very pleasing, with the Summer Wave Large Violet Terrenia, Pink Chablis Lamium, and the...
It's on the front.
On the front. Okay, here we go. We need some blooms. And then we also have the Rocapoco Apple Blossom Impatience. This combination is incredible. And then another of the, let's see if I can do it, Sweet Caroline, Sweetheart, Shadow Storm, Sweet Potato Vine. I got it.
Amazing.
Really love that. This took a little while to get going, but once it did, absolutely love it. In the center is a big Kimberly Queen Fern. We have repeated the same plan with a different kind of fern in our hanging baskets. It's been a really nice, very successful planting. And the good thing is there's different colors of each of these plants. So if we wanted the same structure, we could change out the colors of the actual flowers to get different looks. Stepping on down here, there's some lemon coral sedum in the head planter, and the Bloodgood Japanese maple that we thinned out quite a lot, looking gorgeous, putting on tons of growth. And how about this for an update? We cut our Brunnera, which is Jack of Diamonds, and the New Hampshire purple geraniums down to the ground, and they have reflushed in this very tidy, very clean, fresh way. Absolutely love that. More Empress Wu hostas in the back, our Sun King Aurelia doing so well. And then as you pan upward, you can see the Lavender Mist Thalictrum. So tall, lots of pollinators.
So
Just
beautiful.
a gorgeous plant. And I love how healthy these leaves are. This area has kind of the perfect mix of light, I believe. I think they're just getting the perfect amount where they're not burning, they're not crisping up at all. And they are staked, but I think we'd need a much bigger stake if we wanted them all the way upright. I don't care. I think they're great. Another morning light miscanthus right here. I just love this so much. Back up a little bit, Eric. I want to talk about our raised bed area. You know, we've learned a lot this season about what we can grow, and we've got them on drip irrigation. It's going better than it has in the past. We have our little carrots. We've got some different herbs going on. We threw a few annuals in. I have the rose sensation Thunbergia growing up over the top. It's not flowering as much as I would have hoped it was. It's just kind of doing its thing. The blueberries are growing really well. Our different kinds of strawberries are all kind of taken off. Our pots up here that have a fairy trail green cascade hydrangea with a collection of super bells. Again, it's super bell summer. And then let's see, what else do we got here? We have our squash that's really not that happy, a sage, basil that we've been cutting off of a ton, dill, the jade bush beans. I grew 6 of these plants from seed, and I come out here and I just eat beans all the time. Our bush cherry's doing well. We have been eating so many blackberries off of the Taste of Heaven blackberry, which I will give you this one, Eric. Get up close there on one of those flavorettes. Isn't that an incredible rose? This is a second flush, maybe even a third flush technically. I do like to keep these deadheaded because they just pump flowers out nonstop, and bees all over these guys. Tiny quickfire, which is adorable. This is its maximum size, really. Huge bloom on a really tiny plant, cracks me up. The Webmaster Tradescantia, we have it pushed up a little bit with supports, which is helping it, but it's starting to bloom again, and they're all covered in pollinators. So even if this plant doesn't stay in this spot, it's staying in the garden because clearly it's loved by the pollinators.
Before we get too far up front, let's stop a moment and enjoy Willerton Old Hall, a climbing rose here on our trellis. I really like the deep cups and the way that it kind of nods. I think it's pretty. And underneath that, look at this. This is a Camericiparis. Did I say that correctly?
It's a Camericiparis. It also might be a Cryptomeria.
Oh, well, it's something, but we know that it's called Dinger, and it's an Isley introduction, and it's a cool little evergreen, and of course more wandflower and more artist blue ageratum. But this is that silver lining artemisia that probably is due for a cutback, right?
I think it's due for a cutback, but it's going to be replacing a lot of our lamb's ear. I like the color, but I also like that it's going to give some extra texture.
I agree. Invincible ruby hydrangeas. This is a cool sedum that's called Night Embers.
Night Embers.
Love that. Speaking of embers, this is called Ember Wave, which is a gold arborvitae. That's an interesting way to bring a pop of gold into the border. More Baptisia that has gone over. A purple obelisk beech, a Dalwick purple obelisk beech. A combination of Ragucii clematis and Claire Austin rose. Wabi Sabi Japanese maple has been very happy here. A cool hybrid between a Japanese maple and a Korean maple, so it has extra cold hardiness bred into it. To my right, the Vanderwolf pine. This was one of the very first trees we planted on our property because our office window looks into our neighbor's dining room window. So this was a way to add a little bit of privacy to it. White chiffon pillar rose of Sharon, not chiffon, white pillar rose of Sharon.
Yes.
Again, the pillars are a little later to flower, so you can extend that rose of Sharon interest if you'd like.
Also though, Eric, this one has grown really fast.
They do, they tend to grow really fast for sure. Shallow Splash River Birch, which is a large shrub or small tree for us. I love the variegation on it. And then it also has gorgeous bark for winter interest. Look at our Limelight Prime, much bigger than anticipated. It's had a very happy season, but again, blooms very late in the season to extend that Panicle hydrangea interest. This will start white, I believe. No, it'll start green, age to bright white, and then transition to like a pink as fall approaches. Let's Dance Can Do, reblooming hydrangea. You can see it's having a growth spurt right now. All of this is new growth. So it's getting ready to put out another round of flowers. So those kind of pop up above the old ones, really add to extending that hydrangea bloom season. Weeping Norway spruce, I'm so thrilled with the fact that it is just doing exactly what we pictured it doing. Firelight tidbit hydrangeas down here, another panicle that'll turn pink as the season progresses. Traditional lavender, Walker's Low catmint, and check out Gabriel oak. Wow, highly fragrant, tons of flowers, very healthy.
Let me get in here. Look at this new flower, especially in this morning light. It's so intense.
It's really an intense color. It's hard to capture on screen. So let's move along, Christopher, past our trio of matching containers that flank our garage and check these out. The centerpiece is a standard carding mill. So a carding mill that's been grafted on top. So it's kind of like a mini tree. Underneath that is Meteor Shower Verbena, Supertunia Bordeaux, more Plum Dandy Alternanthera, a new for 2026 Silver River Didelta, really cool, and then Selenia Apricot Begonia. And we repeated this 3 times in our Urbino planters.
Eric, can I just mention that we've had these for a couple, not even a couple months, just a bit, but we have yet to have all the carding mills in full bloom at the same time.
I know, we can't sync them up. The carding mills came from a garden center out of sync, so we're trying to get them to sync up. But in our foundation bed, a beautiful way to greet visitors to our home is with this drift of wee white hydrangeas, a dwarf smoothleaf. There are 4 of them here. This is their mature size. They bloom white. They are suffering a little bit of full sunburn just because it has been extremely hot with very little rain. Winter gem boxwood, purple fountain grass, our hedge of artist blue, floss flower ageratum. It's a hybrid annual from Proven Winners. Blue kazoo spirea. Right now it's out of flower, but it's still giving us a show by its new growth being this interesting color, always changing color. That's what those double play spireas, that whole line from Proven Winners, is called double play because you get double the interest. There's always something about it, whether it's the foliage or flowers or something's always happening. Invincible Spirit 2 hydrangeas. We have some faded blooms. We have some newer ones coming up. We have old flower stalks of our ambassador alliums from the spring. We've left them up just because they are so interesting. Firelight tidbit hydrangeas repeated here with another winter gem boxwood. That brings us to our giant drift of Walker's Low catmint, which we chose not to cut back because we wanted to experiment and see what it would do. And I think we've learned that we definitely want to cut it back next year.
Yeah, it's pushing new growth and color right now, right through the old, but it would be a little tighter if we had just chopped it back.
Yeah, there were other spots in the garden where we did choose to cut it back, and then we left it in other spots just so we could compare. This is one where we left it, and now we know we really want to cut it back next year. But it's underneath a tricolor beech, and there are some Vanessa Bell roses doing very well. And Christopher, if you back up, we can talk very quickly about our island bed over here, which is just as simple as we could keep it, with some river birch, some wee whites, some winter gem boxwoods, and some more Walker's Low catmint. We wanted something extremely low maintenance, really easy to take care of. But then over here is a vanilla strawberry hydrangea, which we are very proud of. It's one of the first hydrangeas we ever planted, and I think it's doing very well. It's pretty established. It was planted in 2018. It's happy. It'll start to turn pink as the season progresses, and it's underplanted with Surefire Rose Begonia, which is a great choice for an area that gets both shade and sun, which that space does. More blue kazoo spirea and Walker's Low catmint. You can tell we tried to keep the front of the house a little bit more landscapey, a little bit simpler, so there's more repetition with Firelight tidbit hydrangeas. More Hetzi columnar juniper, more artist blue floss flower. Interesting tree, for sure. Red fox katsura.
I adore this tree.
It's really cool. This is an Isley tree. I'm excited to see how it matures because it has fantastic fall color. The leaves are highly fragrant when crushed in the fall. It's got interesting spring color, bold foliage, really cool. Spring Grove arborvitae, you can tell we're kind of trying to build like a green privacy wall between us and the neighbor. And I can never remember which one this is, Christopher.
That is soft serve Chamaecyparis.
Soft serve Chamaecyparis. This is green screen arborvitae from Isley. Purple fountain grass. These are North Pole arborvitaes from Proven Winners. Some strongbox. And then this is a Blue Point juniper.
Can I just point out that the lines in the grass are really good this time, Eric? You did a great job.
Thank you. I do enjoy mowing the lawn. And people ask, like, what's your secret to the lawn? I think it's just water.
It's water.
Just run your sprinklers. And then we're gonna finish up in the hydrangea room with our Gatsby pink oak leaf hydrangea. You can see our Roseanne geranium is climbing up through it, giving us a little bit of a show with this purpley blue flowers. More Surefire Rose Begonia. This is that Lime Ricky hydrangea that's been discontinued. It's been replaced by Invincible Sublime because you can see this a little floppy and not as intense green. Our Brandywine Viburnum shot up a ton of growth and then really flopped in a summer storm, which I was surprised. So
Super flopped.
yeah, I've tried to stake it, but it looks like...
If it wasn't staked, it'd be on the ground.
Yeah, I have no idea what's happening. So we'll investigate that more in the fall, but yeah. Another Limelight Prime, a little bit smaller because it gets less sun. Above that is our pollarded dappled willow, right, Christopher?
Yep, and that's how we are able to provide a little bit of shade for the hostas behind you.
Yeah, so that makes a little shade area here, but before we do that, let's talk about our Royal Frost birch with its bright white bark and its dark purpley green foliage. And then Christopher, if you swoop this way, I haven't even looked this morning yet at how the hydrangea room looks after the rain. I'm assuming it looks okay. These were planted in the fall of 2023. So last year was their first full season in the ground. This is their second. It's gonna take them at least until next year or the year after to really get established and get those strong stems underneath them before they'll be able to fight against those summer storms. But I'm really thrilled with how they're doing so far. It's a mix of Incredible and Incredible Blush and Invincible Sublime and Invincible Lace. And the other thing that's funny is the front row were all 2 gallons when we planted them, and the back row were all 1 gallons when we planted them. So there's also a little bit of catch up that needs to be played between the 2 rows. But I'm excited to see how it develops. And the reigning star of the east side is our Winecraft Gold Smoke Bush. That color is outstanding. A cool shrub that not a lot of people have that I think you'll find really interesting is the Aphrodite Sweet Shrub. That flower is falling. Let me see. Oh, here's a fresher bloom. Really pretty magnolia-like blooms, highly fragrant. When you prune this shrub, the leaves are extremely fragrant. And for me, I think is like the most delicious way. It's almost medicinal, but I prefer that kind of fragrance. A huge stand of Invincible Spirit 2 hydrangeas, faded blooms, but also some fresh blooms, so it is a rebloomer. As it's getting more established, it is flopping less, which is great. And I think also because we had our sprinklers fixed in the spring, it's no longer getting water by sprinklers every day, so that helps. And a quick fire standard back there. Ooh, Christopher, you might want to show the hanging baskets with the sun shining on them. So pretty.
Oh, look at that. So pretty.
And then finally, ending at one of our favorite vignettes. Over here is a combination that is, for me, I think it's to die for. We have our Kinsley Ghost Honeysuckle growing on the fence. It almost looks like eucalyptus, but it's not. It's got those big, bold bracts. And then next to that is Winecraft Black Smoke Bush. Underneath that is a dwarf Mugo Pine. There's a drift of Ever After Veronica. A nice little neat hedge of Peachberry Ice Coral Bell. A Sprinter Boxwood to give it some weight. A Bobo Hydrangea. And that leads you to our Gothic Arch, which has Betty Corning Clematis on it and Generous Gardener Rose.
The sun has officially come out, so we're taking a little refuge in the shade. But if you're interested in taking a look at some ratings we recently did of all these hydrangeas in the garden, that video is popping up on the screen right now.
Thank you so much for joining us today for our full July garden tour. Again, I'm Eric.
And I'm Christopher.
And we're Grow For Me Gardening.
Thanks for growing with us.